Welcome back to the Yoga Challenge. It's day 16 of our 30-day yoga challenge. I think I forgot to acknowledge in day 15 that you made it halfway. Good for you. This is awesome. Thank you for sticking it out and being on this journey with me. We're going to talk about using yoga for immunity today. Now, that is not something that people typically associate with yoga. And to my scientific, to my research friends who are a little bit cynical about this yoga stuff that I'm into, I can feel them rolling their eyes already like, really, Tim, you're going to say that yoga helps boost immunity? Yes, absolutely. Think about it from the perspective that illnesses are fought off by our bodies. And when our bodies release stress hormones, it's busy dealing with that stress, and we don't have as much bandwidth, as much capacity, as much energy to deal with boosting our immunity and fighting off illness. What we're going to be doing today is spending a little bit of time winding down and practicing some stress reduction. And what I mean by stress reduction is not to get rid of our stress, not to feel stress hormones. Those are really important and super valid. We need stress hormones. Remember, if a car is careening towards you at a high rate of speed, you want those stress hormones to kick in and get you out of the way. Stress can be a part of survival. However, we also need to learn how to downregulate, how to let go of our stress and not let it govern us all the time. That's where this yoga practice comes in for boosting immunity. Let's enjoy our practice for day 16 of our 30-day yoga challenge, using yoga to boost your immunity. If you're able to stand, I'd like to invite you to get up on your feet and just make sure that you have a little bit of a cleared area around you. Again, no yoga mat or special yoga clothing is required. Separating your feet about a hip's width apart, and that right there, that cue might be difficult for you. So let's go ahead, let's find a standing posture. So maybe allow yourself to press through the crown of your head. Maybe opening through the chest, you broaden through the chest, you find your shoulders come wide. With your arms splayed out, your palms facing forward. Mountain pose is meant to help you root down through your feet, to stand tall, to have the stability of a mountain. And if you don't feel strong and stable like a mountain, just notice that your mind comes up with judgments and evaluations. This practice is about you and finding what works for you today. Let's bring your hands down onto the ground, spreading wide through the fingers. We really want to protect the wrists here. Pressing the hands down into the ground. With the fingers spread wide, let's bend nice and deep through the knees so you can get your hands planted flat onto the ground. And gently beginning to step the feet back, maybe tiptoeing or maybe taking slightly larger steps, but don't go too far. Stepping the feet back so that your feet are planted on the ground and your heels don't need to be touching the ground, but we also don't want you up on your tippy toes. So the balls of your feet here are planted into the ground. Your toes are on the ground as you step back, but your heels don't necessarily need to be touching the ground. The hands are planted both on the ground, fingers spread to protect your wrists, and still with a nice deep bend in the knees here. Maybe pedal through your heels. Maybe bending through alternate knees, really exaggerating that bend, wagging the hips back and forth. Even experimenting here with the musculature of your arms, maybe even rolling the arms so that the eyes of the elbows face out, and then experimenting with how it affects your shoulders when you roll the arms back in. But we don't need to have a static downward dog here. We're just experimenting with down dog, bringing some motion into your body. Breathing here. Slowing your downward facing dog down. Noticing what it's like to be in this posture. From your downward facing dog, let's go ahead, let's press back all the way into our first child's pose of this practice. Lowering down, bending at the knees. Go ahead, take a nice deep, wide-legged child's pose, knees out nice and wide, so you can rest your torso, your upper body, reach through your arms, take a breath on purpose. Find some relaxation here. If you wish, drawing your arms parallel to the body, breathing through the nose. Reaching the hands forward, spreading wide through the fingers, nice and wide to protect the wrists. Let's go ahead and tuck the toes. Begin to peel those hips up off the heels, pressing back into the downward facing dog. Bringing some movement into your down dog if need be, or finding some stillness, whatever is working for you today. Remember, the point of the posture isn't to have your feet flat on the ground, it's to have a nice, long spine. You may need to bring a deep bend into the knee, whatever works for your body. Make this practice work for you. Alright, here comes our fun transition. Whether you press forward into a plank or drop down onto your knees, however you do it, I want you to find a plank posture that works for you. And go ahead, bend at those elbows, dropping the chest down towards the ground. And bringing the gaze forward, we're going to transition into our first upward facing dog. So if you're using the knees for your chaturanga, for your push-up here, you're going to have to go ahead and extend the legs out. The palms of the tops of the feet go flat onto the mat as you lift your gaze up.
Breathing here. Noticing what it's like to be in this posture. Let's make our way back down onto the ground. So here's what I'm going to invite you to do. From a nice flat seat or stacked on top of some pillows or towels, sit with the soles of the feet facing one another. This means that the knees are going to be bent, splayed out. Now protect your hips here. You may wish to place your hands underneath your knees and lift your knees up a little bit so that they don't overextend. From here, I would like to invite you to just experiment with how deep is workable for you. And how you can tell is, again, once you start putting load onto your system, maybe experiment with really holding your knees up a little higher and then letting them down, letting them down, letting them down. Now, if there's a certain point where you start to feel tension, where you start to feel too much pressure on the hips, right there, easing off a little bit, lifting your knees a little higher is where you're going to want to stop. For me, it's helpful to take blankets or pillows and put them underneath my legs to support my legs so that they're not splayed out as much, to just keep my knees a little bit higher. And you don't need to prop up the knees. You can actually stick the blankets or pillows a little further underneath in order to really get those legs propped up. Now from here, I'm going to invite you to wrap your hands around your ankles. Sit nice and tall. And if you don't have long arms like I do and it's difficult for you to wrap your hands around your ankles, you can go ahead and place your hands over your knees. But find some try that again. Find some length through your spine. Inhaling to press through the crown of your head. And just notice any sensations in this posture. If you need a moment to pause and go ahead and take some pillows or blankets and put them underneath your legs, that's okay too. And wherever your arms are at, whether over your knees or if it's accessible to you being able to wrap your hands around your ankles, let's begin a little bit of a forward fold. Folding forward ever so slightly. And if you notice that your upper body is able to come down and you're able to extend quite far, that's great. You might want to take, again, some towels or some pillows or blankets to stack yourself up on. Alternatively, you may not have much depth in this pose today, and that has to be okay. Just take a moment to let yourself be wherever you're at. Maybe even using your arms to support your upper body if you're beginning to feel weak. Remember that this posture isn't about going so deep that you have this incredible feat of yogic contortionism. The purpose of this pose is to be in your body, to feel what it's like to be here now, and to work with what you have. We'll come back onto our backs now. With the knees bent and the feet flat on the floor, you're going to want to remove any blankets or towels that are supporting your body. Go ahead and find yourself with your palms facing down. And just stepping the feet back ever so slightly, so the feet are only hips width apart, and the feet don't need to be pressing right up against the buttocks, but you want to step the feet in ever so slightly. With the knees bent, laying flat on your back, let's go ahead and check in with our neck, make sure that we're protecting the neck here. So you may want to just lift your head up, lengthen through your neck, then place the head back down. With the palms flat down on the ground, beginning with the pelvis, I'm going to invite you to inhale and begin to lift the body up off the ground, putting weight into your heels. And lifting slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae. Take the full length of your inhale and your exhale. Once you reach the top of this posture with your body off the mat, notice if there's a place where you go a little too far and you start putting pressure on your neck. If you get there, take some of the pressure off, come back down a little. Taking a full breath here. On your next exhale, come down slowly, dropping vertebrae by vertebrae. Remembering that yoga isn't about simply achieving a posture, it's about the journey of working through the postures, connecting your breath with your movement, and being mindful, being present of how that moves in your body. One more time. Let's engage in this little bit of a back bend here. Pressing into the heels to inhale, lifting the pelvis off the ground, and slow, vertebrae by vertebrae, take the full length of your inhale to lift off of the ground. If it's accessible to you, you may wish to inch the elbows in underneath the body, maybe even interlacing the fingers, pressing down through the forearms and elbows. And notice if that helps give you a little bit more stability or strength to lift through the posture. Or notice if it's an invitation for your mind to be like, yeah, I can really crank myself in here. Just pause and notice what your mind does with this adjustment of playing around with your arms under your body. Breathing here, wiggle the toes. Being thankful for our toes. Wiggle the fingers. On your next exhale, if your fingers are interlaced under your body, moving the hands out from under the body, dropping down vertebrae by vertebrae till you come flat down onto the mat. You may wish to extend your feet out into a final relaxation pose of Shavasana, or you may wish to come up seated. Take one last breath here on purpose. Breathe all the way in. Really feel the breath move in the body. If you're able to stand, I'd like to invite you to get up on your feet and just make sure that you have a little bit of a cleared area around you. Again, no yoga mat or special yoga clothing is required. Separating your feet about a hip's width apart, and that right there, that cue might be difficult for you. So let's go ahead, let's find a standing posture. And still with the feet a hip's width apart, I'm going to invite you to hinge at your hips, folding forward. You may wish to bring the arms out wide, protecting the back. You may need to move away from the wall or slide your hand down the wall or move the chair. And without any need to maintain some length through the legs, you may wish to bring some bending into the knees, just allowing your upper body to drape over your thighs, really leaning forward into the standing forward fold. Letting the arms hang low. Noticing if there's any tension on the back, and if so, bring a deeper bend into the knees. Maybe lifting out of this forward fold a little bit. Possibly grabbing opposite elbows. And just wagging back and forth a little bit. And notice how your breathing has changed in this standing forward fold. Notice where you feel any pull on any muscles or any strain on your system here in this pose. Now, releasing the arms, if you've grabbed opposite elbows, maybe reaching the fingers down to the ground. And if you have long arms like I do, you might be able to reach the ground. And if not, it might not be your day today. Today, I'm not feeling particularly limber, so I'm actually gonna Place the palms of my hands onto my shins. Let's begin to lift up, nice and slow, coming all the way up, back into our standing mountain pose. And on your next inhale, let's go ahead and reach our arms up, breathing in as you lift, lifting the gaze. Exhale, bring your hands down to your heart center. And really breathe through the nose. Let your breath move in an audible way. Inhale, breathe in all the way. Lifting the gaze, exhale, bring your hands back down to your heart center. Repeat this 3 more times on your own, breathing in to reach up. Exhale, the hands come down to heart center. Pausing here, allowing your vision to be fixed just over top of you, the tops of your fingers. Maybe your vision goes out of focus. Without closing your eyes all the way, you may wish to allow your eyes to flutter shut, but only close to the point where you can still let a little bit of light in. There's still a little bit of sensory experience of light there. Inhale to press through the crown of the head, find that height through the spine. Exhale, tuck the chin. Feel the palms pressing together. Feel places where you feel warmth in the body or other sensations. As we begin to end this practice, pause for a moment and reconnect with what it is that's important to you about doing this yoga challenge. And whatever shows up, my invitation to you is to be present to it. You may wish to maintain this posture for a few minutes after this video ends, but I'm going to take this opportunity to say thank you so much for participating in this practice. The light in me acknowledges and bows to the light in you. Namaste. Don't forget to hit the like button. It's super reinforcing to me, makes me want to make more of these videos. Hit subscribe and the bell icon to keep updated on these videos so that you don't miss any of them. And definitely share this with people in your world, because you never know who's going to benefit from this 30-day yoga challenge. Thank you so much. Namaste.